Hi guys, today I'm gonna be doing the 1970s decade review. Yep. This is a good decade, I'm not gonna lie. So this decade we see a lot of changes, I guess. Like, this is quite an interesting decade to analyze. I think what happens in this decade is a lot of stuff that's common today starts, well, in the 60s really, but like, I mean, the whole idea of all that stuff started with the Enlightenment, to be fair, but yeah. Anyways, here we go. So, 1970, not much really happens that year, I guess. It's a pretty uneventful year. 1971, the voting age goes from 21 to 18. So, now 18 is the minimum adult age. Which is a pretty good decision, honestly. That was one of their better decisions. Yep. That was in 1971. Oh, I forgot, 1970, I think New York becomes the first state to approve abortion. Pretty sure. Yep. 1972. I'm trying to think what happened in 1972. Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Airs its last episode. Yeah. That happens. I think, when did Watergate happen? Fuck. That was during Nixon, right? I'm gonna look it up. Hold up. Watergate scandal. Okay, so the Watergate scandal starts in 1972, I forgot to mention. Yeah, that happens. The Watergate scandal starts, yeah. 1973, abortion gets legalized in the US everywhere. So yeah, that happens. 1974, Blazing Saddles comes out, one of the funniest fucking movies ever. Yeah, I love that movie. What else? I'm trying to think. 1975, Who Flew Out of the Cuckoo's Nest comes out. Good movie. I think also Taxi Driver. It was 1975 or 1980, I don't remember. 1976, Rocky comes out. Great movie. Love that movie. I forgot to mention 1973, Nixon gets replaced by Ford. Yep. Nixon quits presidency in 1973 because he almost gets impeached because of the Watergate scandal, which ended in 1974. What else happened? In 1977, Ford leaves the White House and gets replaced by Jimmy Carter. 1978, not much really happens. Maybe the Iranian hostage crisis happens in the late 70s, I'm not sure. Or was it the mid 70s? I don't know. It happened during the 70s Olympics or something. And in 1979, or was it? No, it was 78 where Grease came out. It's an okay movie, I like it. 1979, Corey Feldman makes his debut in movies. 1979. I'm gonna assume the Iranian hostage crisis is still going on during this time. I'm not sure. I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna go take that with it if I can. Hostage crisis. What the fuck was that? Yeah, it started in 1979. I was right. It was late 1979. Yeah. So 1979, the Iranian hostage crisis starts. Yep. Where let me see. It was a diplomatic standoff between Iran and the United States. You know, or they were holding citizens as hostages. It was a terrible time. Yep. That was in the late 70s. It started in the late 70s, though. Most of the 70s didn't have that. So, 1970s. I would say the least eventful decade of the Cold War, in my opinion. Not much was happening in the Cold War during that time. There was the... Wasn't there the... Let me look this up. What was the Syrian Civil War? Oh. That was way after, okay. That was way after. Can't cover that yet. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, what else? Movies are great. Movies were excellent. Forgot to mention 1971, A Clockwork Orange comes out. Really good movie. That was Malcolm McDowell's debut movie. 1970, there was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory with Gene Wilder. That's a classic. There's also Young Frankenstein, which I like a lot. I say the 30s one's better though. Even though Gene Wilder is funny. One of my favorite actors. Yeah. Fashion shit. Video games started becoming public in this decade, which is cool. You can finally play video games in public in this decade. With the Magnavox Odyssey and all that stuff. You can play Pong, which was cool for its time, you know. So yeah, the first generation comes out in this decade, which is cool. It lasts pretty long though. It lasts like 14 years. Yeah. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, I mean, 70s, pretty good decade, honestly. Was it better than the 60s? Yeah, I guess so. Well, despite the bad stuff that happened in this decade. Yeah. Oh, I'm trying to think what else. Music was great. David Bowie, Pink Floyd. Who else was part of the 70s? Queen, Kiss. There was also another band I'm trying to think of. Fuck. Led Zeppelin? Was that 1970s? I think so. Pretty good band. Well, Jimi Hendrix and Marvin Gaye unfortunately died in this decade. Elton John becomes popular in this decade. Who else becomes popular in this decade? I'm trying to think. Who else becomes popular in this decade? Fleetwood Mac becomes popular. This was before, no, I'd say this is during Stevie Nicks. She becomes popular in this decade because of Fleetwood Mac, really. The Beatles disband, which is, fuck. In the beginning of the decade, too, they disbanded. Rolling Stones are still making songs, but their 60 songs are better, let's be honest. Yeah. And, what are the deaths? So, people we lose in this decade are, Charlie Chaplin, unfortunately. Elvis Presley. Jimi Hendrix. Who else? Marvin Gaye. I'm trying to think who else. Who else we lose in this decade? And those are the main ones I remembered. Oh wait, no. We lose Harold Lloyd in this decade as well. Yep. Unfortunate. But the good thing about this decade is the Cold War wasn't really as active in this decade, even though it was still going on technically. Yeah. There was, I guess kind of a shift in this decade in terms of like cultural stuff, which the effects started around the 60s. Yeah. I'd say overall this is, the car designs fucking suck. I don't like it. 70s car designs are terrible. Like I said, I mean, actually, they're bad, but I take them over, you know, bad car designs of the modern age, really. I mean, oh yeah, the information age starts. Steve Jobs started making Apple around this time. I forgot to mention. And that would eventually lead to later inventions. So yeah, without this decade, there wouldn't be Apple. Yeah. Without this decade, there probably wouldn't be, let me see. There wouldn't be this, basically, without this decade. Yeah, there wouldn't be that. There wouldn't be smartphones either, to be fair. Because, Apple kind of innovated that, really. Although, yeah. There was, trying to think. There was smartphones before that, but they were mainly used for calling. They weren't used for, you know, staring at the modern smartphone. But yeah, in the 1970s, good decade. Out of 10, I'd say it's honestly better than the 60s. Yeah, I'll give it like an 8.6 out of 10. It's a good decade. Actually, yeah, 8.6 out of 10. It's a nice decade. I like it. Not my favorite decade though, but it's better than the 60s in my opinion. Anyways, yeah. Peace.